Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Batman Before. Yeah, so we're nearing the end of this series of videos that I've done called Batman Before, looking at stuff that's come before the new Matt Reeves Batman movie. Obviously, you've seen that I've done some film reviews. I've looked at some statues, a collection of physical media of Batman. Today, I'm going to take a look at some graphic novels from my collection. Just a quick look. Now, like I said, a couple more episodes left. After this, tomorrow, I'm going to have a talk about the future of Batman in film. My concerns about the future of Batman in film, to be more precise. So make sure you come back to see that tomorrow. And then I'm going to finish up proceedings on Thursday with a ranking of the live action Batman films. Yeah, that'll be my sort of swan song for this series before the release of The Batman. And then obviously when I do see that, I will give my review. Now, I won't be seeing that on weekend of release. Unfortunately, my weekend is very busy this coming weekend, so thusly I won't be able to go and see it, but I'm hoping to get to see it the weekend after. But yeah, so let's get started on looking at some of these graphic novels from my vast collection of Batman books and comics. Now, I do have a lot of Batman comics from back in the day, but they're all stashed away in boxes. I mean, literally packed up, sealed, and extremely hard to get to. But I do intend to go through them one day. But let's just look at some graphic novels that I've pulled from the bookshelf. So first up is this lovely thick book called The Greatest of Batman Stories Ever Told, including the best-selling graphic novel, Son of the Demon. Now, this book here is more of a sort of it reprints a lot, well, not, some of the older Batman comics, as you can see by the art inside. But nonetheless, it's a fabulous collection, and obviously it ends with this fantastically drawn story, which is more modern than thingy. So that's a nice thick book. Can you believe that cost $7.99? What would you get for that now? Not that's for sure. So next up, I've spoke about this in a few videos, and that is Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. Yes, this was a very, very renowned graphic novel series by Frank Miller. It's a book that's gone on to impact what we've seen with Batman in Tim Burton's Batman world, in Christopher Nolan's, and specifically in Batman vs Superman, because this is where that look for Batman, the Ben Affleck Batman, came from. It's taken from this book series. Now, so if you take a look, obviously you can see I'll go through. There's the stuff where Superman has to go up to the sun again. You've got Batman is very much like, if I can find an image for you, I will show you. There you go. So as you can see, Batman has the sort of grey with the big black bat on it, this sort of a thing, and that's where that look came from, directly from Frank Miller's book here. Yeah, it's a fantastic comic book. And not only that, you can see that Batman's got the sort of armoured suit that you do see Ben Affleck wearing in Batman vs Superman. So that's the inspiration for a lot of that. Next up is a World's Finest book, which is a Batman and Superman crossover book. $8.99 graphic novel that was, from back when. So that's a good read, that one. And now another very famous storyline, Death in the Family. Yeah, this was a 4-issue event series, kind of, where readers decided the fate of Robin, and thusly this sees Robin get killed. Yeah, readers clearly regarded New Robin as a whining usurper and decided on capital punishment. Yeah, so Batman, Robin was killed in this. Again, very old, famous storyline, and again, a fantastic read. But then we have Robin Reborn, which is, yeah, like the return of the character. And Robin, Tragedy and Triumph, another graphic novel for Robin. Because back in the day, Robin had his own series and all this. Now, another storyline that you will be familiar with, but Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight Rises was a riff on Nightfall. Yeah, this is the story where Batman had his back broken by Bane. This is what introduced Bane as a character, and it was mid-90s. It kind of followed on from the death of Superman sort of a thing. The event that was, they sort of spun into Batman in a sense, in that they wanted to recapture the magic of the death of Superman by breaking the bat, and thusly Batman had his spine broken in this comic. And as you can see, it's very much straight out of The Dark Knight Rises, done it very much like that. So that was part 1 of Nightfall, and then it went into a part 2, which saw a new individual take over the role of Batman, that being the character of Ezreal. Yes. So again, a fantastic read. Nightfall was fantastic. Back then, but before that we did actually get introduction of Ezreal in his own series, Batman Sword of Ezreal. This is graphic novel version. Now this is drawn by, it's got art by Joe Quesada. Joe Quesada would go on to become president of Marvel Comics at one point, but also create the character of Ninjak for Image Comics as well. He was a good artist. Now a bit of a mash-up here, but it's a crossover classics, the Marvel and DC crossover, where you had Superman and Spider-Man, Hulk versus Batman. This is like, this is when Marvel first teamed up with DC and they produced crossover comic books. It's happened a few times. Then stepping into another sort of crossover territory, and this one is fantastic, believe it or not. This is Batman versus Predator. Yes, the alien that you know from 20th Century Fox films. Batman versus the Predator. It is a really, really good read, this one. It was a 3-issue sort of series. This is the graphic novel version. I do have them individually. But obviously it saw Batman facing off against the Hunter. To great effect. It was very, very good. And again, you get an armoured sort of Batman in it to take on the Predator. As you can see, Batman and Predator going at it there. It's fantastic. And then I have the graphic novel of Batman vs Predator 3. Yeah, there is a Batman vs Predator 2. I do have all the individual issues individually, but like packed away. I don't know why I never picked up Batman vs Predator 2 as a little graphic novel. I just didn't, and I don't know why. But again, you know, Predator versus Batman, Mr. Freeze in that one there. You know, what can go wrong? It was a good match. Yeah, very, very good. You know, some fighting Robin there. So good stuff. And then we have, stepping aside from just Batman for one sec, I have Catwoman. Yeah, this is Catwoman Volume 1 of Jim Ballant's Catwoman run, which was probably sort of 90s, early 90s, mid-90s, that sort of a thing. He done a fantastic Catwoman, fantastic costume. I do have these individually as well, but I recently got this within the past couple of years, I should say, just reprinting the first few issues. It's a wonderful read. I should check if they've done the second volume of this one, actually, because this was a great time for comics. This was my sort of era of comics. Even though I still read comics today, so there's Ezreal, Batman there. Yeah, I still read comics, but there's a certain era that I go to, and that's that sort of an era. That's where all the nostalgia is in the sort of 90s and 2000s. It was just a breath of fresh air for me collecting comics in that era. And then I have a volume 5 of a different run of Catwoman, and this being Catwoman Backward Masking, which is obviously a Catwoman story. Nothing to do with the other Catwoman that I just showed you, as in, it was still Selena Kyle, but this is years later. Cover art by Adam Hughes, who's a fantastic cover artist, as you can see there. Yeah, he's very good at the female form, shall we say. And then we have a controversial Catwoman story from the New 52. This was the first reprint in the first several issues, like issues 1 to 4. No, it's issues 1 to 6. The reason it was full of controversy is because, I'll show you, let me find it. It's basically because of this stuff here. And this stuff here, where she gets it on with the Batman in the comic. Yes, fans like to be part of a controversy. And speaking of controversies, that leads me into my next one, which is a 3-issue series from DC's Black Label called Batman Damned. Now, if anyone knows about this, interesting story. This came out a few years ago. It's their first issue under their Black Label series, first comic. Now, DC Black Label is sort of like an adult line of mature line of comics from DC, with Batman and characters like that in, but there might be a little bit of bad language in there and this sort of thing thrown in. So this first issue came out and it hit the news. Reason being, I shall share with you. Hopefully you can see, but you may never unsee it. Is this page here. But as you can see there, yes, you can see Batman's penis. So, or Bruce Wayne, I should say. Now, what happened is it came out, controversy again, hit the news. And what happened is DC then said every subsequent reprinting of this graphic novel, second printing onwards, you won't see that. It will just be cast in complete shadow. It'll just be completely silhouetted. And thusly, there was a mad run on this comic book. And I was fortunate enough to have picked 2 up, not knowing that this was going on. I can't remember if they were 2, I think there was variant covers, so I picked up 2. But I managed to sell one 2 days later for 110 quid. And I bought it for like, I don't know, 5? Something like that. And I stuck one on eBay and I sold it straight away. But what happens is generally you get something like that hits the press and everyone goes mad for it. Oh, got to have it, got to have it. The people who've missed out are then willing to pay more and more for it until it's changing hands at stupid money, like 110 quid. I wasn't going to turn down 110 quid for a £5 comic. And then inevitably more and more people sell, and thusly the price starts dropping because they become available somewhat more. Now that's a kind of speculatory thing to do, is the people who buy just for the sake of making money. I don't believe in collecting as a speculator, whether it's DVDs, Blu-rays. I don't go in thinking, oh, I'm going to buy that because later on it might be worth a load of money. Yeah, when DVDs are all been and gone and done, you're just going to be left with a load of expensive coasters, that's all. But same with comic books, it's not a great way to collect, it's speculating, it's just not good. Anyway, a few more and then we'll be done. Now, I've got this here, which is a Harley Quinn book called Harley Quinn Black, White and Red. It's a very new storyline, or I should say it's very new stories. It's got a load of different stories by different artists, all in black and white with a tinge of red to it. As you can see, all the comic companies seem to be doing this sort of a comic at the moment, from Marvel, DC, Dynamite, all of them, whether it's black, white and gold, black, white and blue for Superman, black, white and gold is Wonder Woman, black, white and blood, Wolverine, Deadpool, and I think Elektra as well. But yeah, so it's a very fun read. And it's one of them reads that you can just pick up and read and then put down, because there's no real continuity between the stories. They're just little self-contained stories, which is very good. Next up, I picked up this. It was only £7, but it's Batman versus Judge Dredd from 2000 AD, back in the day. And it reprints Judgment on Gotham and Vendetta in Gotham, the two meeting ups of Batman and Dredd. Now, I do have these in their individual comics as well, because I would have got them back in the day. I believe they're a prestige format, so square bound comics. Very good. But I'll pass on that quick, because before that I'd actually also got the actual hardback book. But this actually reprints Judgment in Gotham, Vendetta in Gotham, The Ultimate Riddle and Die Laughing. So 4 different crossovers between Batman and Judge Dredd, and it's got a dust jacket and everything, because obviously it's hardback. But these were like these. Again, this is from that era of comics when things were just fantastic. It's Judge Death there, you know, and having Batman meet up with Judge Dredd was just, you know, phenomenal. It was just, you know, having these sort of crossovers back in the day. Excitement built up. It was just so good, and like I said, it's just a fantastic era. When you think back, the same thing happens with films. You have this, you know, you have a sort of golden era of films for yourself, or a golden era of like comic books like this, and this is no exception. This is from that era of comic books, and that leads me into what's next, and my final couple of books, or few books, and first up, and another from a golden era, is this, the hardback volume 1 of the Batman Adventures. Yeah, the Batman Adventures was a comic book that was obviously based upon or inspired by the animated cartoon series. So it's all done in this sort of a, you know, animation style. So very child-friendly looking, shall we say. But if you were a fan of the Batman animated series, which I was, fantastic, best cartoon series ever, you would have loved these. These are just this comic book at the time. Now, at the time, I didn't get them all because I was buying so many comics, and I do regret it. But these came out from Eagle Moss, because I was collecting their sets of Batman books at the time, not long ago, and I had to get these. That was volume 1, and then still sealed, volume 2. And volume 3 there, Superman in it. You can tell what era it's from, because Superman's got longer hair, so that means it would have been just after the death of Superman, about a year after, when he returned and he had longer locks. And there's the back. Now that there isn't rips on the back, that's still in its plastic, as you can see, sort of coming away there. But this was attached to a bit of card when it was in the shop, and as you peeled it off, some of the card remained on that. So once you peel off this film protection, they will be on that, obviously, and not on the book itself. And last but not least, final item, which has come out more recently, is Batman The Adventures Continue Season 1. Now, I do have all these individually as well, and currently we're on Season 2. And these are like a sort of a revisit to that Batman the Animated Universe world, with the art style being of that ilk again, and a fantastic rig. So great stuff. So yeah, so that's just a very, very small percentage of Batman books. I mean, if I show you down here, all of these here are also Batman related books. I mean, literally all of them at the bottom. So yeah, so there's a wealth of material there, wealth of reading material, some that people may like, some that people don't like, but I enjoy my comic books, I enjoy reading, and a lot of that is from a nostalgic era of Batman, and fantastic it was too. Anyway, so this is AJ, that was just a quick look at some of my collection of graphic novels, and then that from Batman. Thank you for joining me. Please come back again tomorrow for that talk about the future of Batman and my concerns about where it is going. Yes. Anyway, take care all, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a good evening. Goodbye.